It's an absolutely ridiculous day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just revealed the newest batch of Edge of Eternity spoilers, and these are some of the most busted cards I've ever seen. On top of that, we've got to talk about the standard showdown embarrassment that Wizards has inflicted on itself, as well as some other fun Magic news. Magic. History. I'm an old wizard. The Magic Historian. My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a peanut butter and jam-packed installment of Mega Magic news. We have a whole bunch of stuff to discuss. Wizards of the Coast has really embarrassed themselves with the upcoming Standard Showdown promo. We have completely insane cards coming in the Edge of Eternity set, especially in the uncommon category. Man, I don't know if it's just the fact that Wizards has been power creeping Magic hardcore, or if it's the change that they made when they switched over to these play boosters. But they told us that there was going to be less slots when it comes to like the uncommons and things like that, and we could expect to see a power boost, and we are definitely seeing that. So let's start out by talking about the Edge of Eternity spoilers, and then we'll dive into the Standard Showdown embarrassment and the other fun news items I have for you guys. So let's go cards now. Now, before we look at the absolutely crazy uncommons, we've got to start with this nuttiness. Requiem Monolith. 1 black and 2 for an artifact that says tap until end of turn. Target creature gains. Whenever this creature's dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it. Activate only as a sorcery. This little bit down here feels a little weird at first, right? You read this part, it's really straightforward. Whatever creature it is, wow, whenever it takes damage, I draw that many cards, but I lose that much life. It's a trade-off. And then this part down here is to guarantee that you can get some value off of this to start with. So you can go, boop, I'll tap my guy. I'll tap this, targeting my guy. I can do 1 damage to him. I elect to do so. So now he's taking a damage. I draw a card and lose a life. So this essentially can be read as if you have a creature out, at the bare minimum, this is tap, lose a life, draw a card, right? So you can just, repeatable effect, you can do it over and over as long as you have a creature. Now, obviously, if you have ways to make your creatures bigger and they can take a bunch of damage, you can do big, dumb things, right? Imagine tapping this, targeting some big 20/20. And then you just go, hey, I'm going to play a board wipe that does 13 damage across the board to every creature. Oh, look, all you guys die. Sure, I lose 13 life, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and draw myself 13 cards, right? So obviously in things like Commander, it's going to be more nutty. But there's a card from Edge of Eternities that combines so stupidly with this. There's that new spaceship, Dawnsire, I think is what it's called. And when you have it up and running, when you attack, it'll do 100 damage to any target. So you could literally just go, hey, guess what? I target your guy. Oh, look, I attack. I hit your guy for 100. Good news is you get to draw 100 cards. Bad news is you lose 100 life, right? Like, it's so dumb and over the top. This is one of those cards when you first look at it, you might go, how powerful is it really? What really can it do? How good is it? And then you'll just see it in action and go, wait a minute, this is better than I thought. Remember, Standard's a 3-year format now, so this has a lot of room to turn into something crazy. But speaking of real crazy, let's talk about the uncommons. Starting out with Full Bore. Why not add some more insane red nonsense into the mix, right? 1 red instant. Target creature you control gets +3/+2 until end of turn. If that creature was cast for its warp cost, it also gains trample and haste until end of turn. This is nutty. There's so many warp creatures. Bro, in limited, this is going to be absolutely insane because there's a 9/9 artifact creature that only costs 3 mana to warp out. So you can just go Boom! Warp them out for 3, pay 1 more mana, come in with a 12/11 tripler. It's so big. And this is obviously very crazy with warp cards, right? Like, this makes warp cards way more desirable. You get to play a warp creature most of the time for less than its casting cost. And this way, you get the juice out of them right away. And if they have some really sweet ability, you're going to get to have that going off if it's a combat style ability as well. So ultimately, this is a very strong uncommon. And the crazy thing to me is this isn't even the strongest it can get for red, right? Like, at least this is somewhat limited by the fact that the bonus is only given to warp creatures. But you've got to take this into account with the fact that there's tons of other red craziness. If you look at this purely in a vacuum, you might be able to go, okay, all right, fine. You know what? It's not as crazy as I think, but you can't do that. Magic cards don't exist in a vacuum. There's no such thing as a 1-card deck, bro. So they exist with all the other cards around them in the environment. And just in standard alone, this is bonkers. Red has so much juice. And it's also interesting to note that these are the Kevu now, right? They're crazy, actual, like, humanoids. That's such a departure from what we know them as flavor-wise. Now, the whispering in the night says it's time to talk about another card. And that is Hymn of the Faller. Name's weird. My brain read it as Hymn of the Fallen and Hymn of the Father before I finally got to Hymn of the Faller. It's unwieldy, but the name is based around the fact that there's a character in the story who's falling through a black hole or some kind of void, and once he reaches the end of his destination, something crazy is supposed to happen. But this is a crazy uncommon. 1 black and 1 sorcery, surveil 1, then you draw a card and lose a life. And it's got void. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell is warped this turn, draw another card. Those are super easy conditions to meet. Warping a card, not that difficult. But getting a permanent into your graveyard, super easy. It doesn't even say non-token. So treasure token, food token, whatever you want. You're pretty much always going to be able to get the extra part of it, which turns this into a black and 1 to draw 2 cards and surveil 1, and it only costs you 1 life. That is incredibly strong, right? This is super powerful, and the fact that it doesn't require 2 blacks, so you can just splash it into anything, just amps that power level up even further. The artwork is very epic, let's be real. And you know what I will say, I do like this too, because yes, those are supposed to be planets or whatever, but you could just view this as a mage and some kind of magic globes or whatever. The sci-fi nature of it doesn't kind of impede me being able to enjoy the flavor of this. But those were the spoiler cards that we had to discuss. Now it's time to talk about some actual crazy magic news. All right, my friends, now we have a laundry list of items to get through since it's been over a week since I've come by to tell you the news. So let us start out talking about the standard showdown embarrassment, because this is well deserved. Wizards of the Coast has made their bed and now they're lying in it. So basically, here's how it goes. The next Standard Showdowns promo is Monstrous Rage. You know the card that they had to ban because it's too powerful, because it can't be in this whole, like, hey, we've got we've got 3 years worth of standard sets. You know, all of that stuff? Well, guess what? Now they're giving out a promo for Standard Showdown that is banned in Standard. That's the world we're living in. We're living in a world where they literally have banned a card in Standard that is the promo that you get for playing in their Standard event. I can't help but laugh because it's deserved. They've been making Magic cards for over 30 years. They know what's going to be a problem. They know what they need to get rid of. But since Throne of Eldraine, they've just refused. It's been fire design insanity. So they just go, whatever. And a lot of the time, it's just our problem. We get stuck with the busted nonsense, and they don't get bitten by it at all. So anytime I see a banned card get put in a secret lair or something else that they planned months and months ago to make, because it takes months to plan this out. Obviously, they didn't pick the card that was banned and go, hey, that'd be a great promo. Why don't we just go and kick them in the chest? You know, like it's... Why do we kick our player base in the chest? It's that level of pure nonsense. So this is what they deserve, right? When they mess up like this and they don't handle the environment properly, then the thing that's supposed to be super exciting to get you out there turns into a big drag and anchor. Why would I go and play for that? Right? So that's deserved and funny to me. And on another hilarious note, actually I've got it right here. Let me grab it. So check it out, guys. This isn't specifically Wizards of the Coast, right? This is affiliated with Wizards of the Coast. These are the Chocobo pins that you can get for participating in the Chocobo event. Now, what if I told you that Richard Garfield's name was spelled wrong on the back? Because it is. On the back, it says Richard Garfield, because they have to credit Richard Garfield on every Magic product, right? And I've never seen his name spelled wrong in the 3+ decades the game's been going. And on top of that, Pinfinity has been making pins for years. I have a ton of their pins. So it's a very, very strange little goof bag that I point, obviously, it's not at Wizards, but since we're talking about screw-ups, I thought that would be funny to mention, all right? Next thing I want to let you guys know is apparently with the upcoming Avatar set, there are going to be scene boxes and the return of Jumpstart. Now, Jumpstart is a mixed bag kind of product, depending on the kind of Jumpstart they're doing, right? If it's Jumpstart like the original Jumpstart products we got, the very first Jumpstart, Jumpstart 2022, then it's going to be pretty sweet. If instead they're bringing back the Jumpstart theme boosters, which were essentially just theme boosters reskinned as Jumpstart packs, well, in those, they had the same cards in every single pack, and there was like 2 rares per color. So at most, you get 10 different cards from. It was just this awful mix that nobody liked. So I'm expecting that we're going to get the good kind of Jumpstart packs. The scene box is obviously going to make Avatar fans happy, right? That's the thing we saw with the Lord of the Rings, where they take the full art cards and set them up on like a little like backdrop where you can see them as one big panorama, which admittedly is a genuinely cool idea, right? Speaking of cool, Final Fantasy, if you guys didn't know this already, Final Fantasy Commander decks are showing up in Costco at reasonable prices. So remember who told you to wait when the Final Fantasy stuff was coming out originally. Remember who said, don't give in to super crazy hype right away and go too nuts buying everything. I did say not specifically in regards to collector stuff, because that would go quick. But everything else, I said in terms of normal products, just wait, guys, and more will be coming. And this has been absolutely the case. So there are a ton of bundles, well, they're getting snapped up pretty quickly at the different Costco's, showing up in different parts of America, but it's coming to Canada too. So if you are in Canada like me, the date that it's projected to show up is the 21st of this month. So about 5 days from now, you can theoretically find them at a physical location if you go into it, and also theoretically find them online. Bear in mind, this is not a guarantee for me. This isn't Wizards stating this kind of thing. This is just what happens in the ecosystem. We saw it with the Lord of the Rings decks where there was, and a bunch of other stuff too, but I like using Lord of the Rings as a comparison to the Final Fantasy set, right? So ultimately, now all of a sudden, these decks are out there. This means multiple things. If you want to get a deck, you can get a Final Fantasy Commander deck along with 2 boosters and 4 promos as well, for far less than you will find it pretty much anywhere else right now. So that is a massively good deal if you can track it down, and understand as well, that's going to have a knock-on effect in the singles market, where all the singles, you know, like, what is it, the Sphere Grid or something like that from the Final Fantasy X Secret Lair, not Secret Lair, Commander deck is right up there, and that's gonna boo. So if you've been looking at particular singles that you can only get from the Commander decks, well, just give it a couple of weeks. We are getting like a flood. Maybe you don't have to wait a couple of weeks, but either way, they're already out there. People are snagging them up. There are actually employees who work at Costco going, bro, I saw one of these pallets come out. A pallet got cleaned off in 20 minutes because this is an epic deal. But remember, they're also gonna have tons of supply. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's worth looking into if it's something that you absolutely want yourself, right? So that's nice to see. What's the next item on the list? Oh, the Sonic Secret Lair drop that happened yesterday. They actually did a limit of 2 purchases per customer. Now, you could do 2 purchases of a regular bundle, a foil bundle, and each of the other stuff, so I don't really know how much that stops people from being able to skis and like buy up massive amounts and then people getting left out in the cold. But I didn't see today a bunch of people raging about that release, and considering the last few have been like that, that means that Wizards of the Coast has managed to Wizards of the Coast has managed to cool things down enough, or I guess on the other side of the coin, it could be that Sonic fans aren't like as into Magic, or it's not having as much resonance with them. I'm not 100% sure. I know not everybody was able to get what they want, and that's what Wizards wants, but it doesn't seem like we had the same sort of, like, you're sitting there like this for like 3 hours waiting for you to be able to actually get the stuff, right? So I'll be looking more into that, and I'll keep you guys up to date, but it looks like they might have made the secret layer purchase process a little bit smoother, right? Next item on the list is Planeswalkers are going to be coming to Commander as commanders. It's only a matter of time. I already talked to you guys about this. I said pretty much every permanent type is going to be valid for commanders. But you already have Mark Rosewater putting out questions over his blog talk going, hey, what do you guys think about the idea of, just Planeswalkers being able to be commanders? It's absolutely going to be the case. All it's going to take is them coming up with a set with a bunch of Planeswalkers. The next time they do another War of the Spark 2, more for you, right? More Planeswalking for you. When they do that, all of a sudden they go, Planeswalkers can be your commanders. And then when they finally want your enchantments to be your commander, they'll be like, oh, enchantment creatures like this can be your commander. Or just enchantments can be your commander, right? It's going to get to the point where you're not even going to have a legendary creature as your commander. Because Wizards is going to go, well, why does it have to be legendary? Everything's one of anyways, which makes them all functionally legendary. It just doesn't get benefit from being counted as a legendary, right? So eventually, everything, you're going to be able to have lands as your commander. It will get to that point because monetarily, that's how Wizards will make the most money, right? And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is people are unhappy about the little spaceships that they have put on those bonus cards. You might have seen them in the spoiler videos we're talking about. Down in the text box area, Wizards has put a different spaceship on every card. But some genius decided, hey, what if we have it flying down into the text box? So there's multiple cards where reading the card doesn't explain the cards. And these aren't even new cards that you have other versions of in the set you can read. These are literal reprints. For example, the French version of Celestial Colonnade literally covers the creature's power and toughness. The spaceship is flying over the power and toughness on the card, so you can't read it and see what it makes it. This is like when they made those Amonkhet unreadable cards, and Hazaret the Fervent named looked like Hazareti the Perverti. It was it's like, do you not have anybody look at this stuff afterwards? Do you just have somebody okay it and go, yeah, put the spaceship in the text box. Woo woo, look at it fly by. Cool, that's approved. And then they just start putting them in different places, slapping them all over. The words on the cards matter, guys, especially considering you don't make vanilla creatures anymore and you put like a word soup on every single Magic card. Pro tip, don't cover that. It's my favorite post, because there's multiple posts about this. My favorite post, because the normal expression is reading the card explains the card, and it goes reading the card explain ... Like totally, it just leaves off like I literally can't tell what my cards do. So it's Wizards. Okay. There's one other item on here too. This is a very small one in case you're curious. So apparently Channel Fireball is now just renaming, like they're now under the TCG Player umbrella as their name. They were purchased by TCG Player a while back. It's been a while actually since Channel Fireball made the news. TCG Player's been making the news lately, but not in good ways, right? Their business practices, not so hot. Union busting and other craziness, like they're getting in to a bunch of stuff over there apparently. I don't know. I just know that eBay purchased TCG Player. I actually used to be an affiliate with TCG Player where I had a link you could use, and if you used it, it supported the channel, but eBay bought TCG Player. And they went, hey, you know that deal that we have where people use your link and we hook you up? Yeah, we're gonna massively limit that now to the first 48 hours and this. And it's like, so that's it. They have to never have used the service before, and it's just this tiny little window, and and I'm like, okay, we're done, right? So they've made a whole bunch of changes over there. I wouldn't be surprised if at a certain point, TCG Player just becomes rebranded as eBay. But for me, TCG Player once upon a time was a better service that has been slowly moving downwards as the corporate heads over at eBay are like, okay, how do we extract maximum dollar? We gotta get more dollars from this. I mean, I think that what they did in some ways was terrible, right? Obviously, though, that's the way it goes with big companies. That's what happens. Anyways, that wraps up all the news that is fit to discuss today. Thanks for coming by and hearing me out. A big shout out to my channel members and patrons for supporting my channel financially. You guys are the reason I get to eat. So thanks, buddies. All right, everybody, have yourself a good day. See you in the next video.